pop-up PD hosted by the 440i team. We are going to learn about Apple Classroom and how to use it as a tool for classroom flow. Your classes will be preloaded into the Classroom and Schoolwork apps since they are connected to Skyward. Unfortunately, sometimes the names for the classes can be confusing. For example, at the high school, if you have multiple sections of a class, there is not an easy way to determine which class is which hour or even which semester without opening the classes up and looking at the exact names of the students. It might be beneficial to take some time to edit the names of those classes to add the semester, hour, and school year. The important thing to note is that this has to be done in the Schoolwork app, not in the Classroom app. In order to do this, open Schoolwork on your iPad. Schoolwork is an iPad-only app. Your classes are linked directly with Skyward, so you will see them all listed on the left-hand side. You will need to go through each of them and look at which students are in each class to determine the correct hour and semester. If you long press on a class name and there is an option to delete the class, that means that class is not active. It's from a previous year. You can go ahead and say remove class. So if you look at the image on the right, I long pressed on my Algebra 2 1 Fall 2024 class, and the only option is edit class. That means this is an active class. To edit the class, I will tap on edit class. And once I've identified which students are in that class and I can tell that it is an hour whatever, then I can change the name. So I changed this Algebra 2 class to include that first hour and that it's Fall 2024. If you want to change the color or icon, this can be beneficial for both you and your students. The color will make it easier for you to find on your Classroom app when we go into Classroom. The color and icon will also correspond to the students' Classroom and Schoolwork app as well. And so I like to go ahead and pick the calculator for their math classes and so on and so forth, so it's easy for them. So you can see on the left-hand side of my iPad screen how some of the classes have orange books and some have a blue or green calculator. That's what the student will see on their Schoolwork app. Once you edit the classes in Schoolwork, that'll change your classes in Classroom as well. Okay, so one of the first uses for Apple Classroom is using it to guide classes. When you open the Classroom app, you can click on a class to open it. So on my screen, you can see I opened one of my classes. When you first open a class, it will show their initials and what app they are working on. If you want to switch it so that you see their screens instead of their initials, in the top right corner, there's a toolbar and there's a button that looks like 3 or 4 circles. If you click on that, that will switch between the initial icons or the screen icons. So you can switch between those every time. Once you switch it, so I've switched it to see their screens instead of their initials. When I end or close this class, it will stay on their screen. So I only have to do this when I first open a class. In the bottom left corner, you can create groups based on what students are working on or on tables, and then you can send a command or just view the screens of each group, or you can do the whole class still. In the toolbar, the app or the image that looks like a stack, that is how you open an app. So you click on this button to open an app, and if you want to lock them in that app, you have to check that box that says lock in app after opening and then click the app to open for them. So if I want to lock all of my students in IXL, I would check that box and then click IXL and it will open that app for them and they won't be able to leave it. This will do it for all students if you do it from that top right toolbar. If you want to send a command to just one student, you would click on their name or their icon, and then you have all of these options. So you can open an app and lock just that student in the app. You can navigate them to a website. Now, in order to do that, you would have to have that website saved as a bookmark. You can view their screen bigger than just a little icon. You can hide their screen, you can lock their screen, or you can mute their iPad. You can even AirPlay their device up to your projector or TV. This is the toolbar just zoomed in. This is for all students. So in that top right corner of your classroom, the stack, like I said earlier, is how you open the apps. Navigate is sending them all to a website, but that website has to be saved in your bookmarks first. The drawer looking icon is for shared items through AirDrop and whatnot. The 4 circles is not labeled there, but that is how you switch from initials icons to their screens on that main page. Hide their screens is the eyeball with the slash through it. You can lock all of their screens so they can't do anything on their iPads, or you can mute all of their iPads at once. Some troubleshooting tips if you are having issues with the Classroom app. As always, if you are having issues, start with making sure your device is updated. And then if it is updated, turn it off, turn it back on, restart your computer or iPad. If you are getting an error with updating your device, know that we are still working on a solution for that, but we are aware of that problem. Just make sure it's as updated as you can get it. If a student is appearing offline, but you see that they are obviously in the classroom and on their iPad, then this is a problem on their end. If the issue is on the student's end, it's usually one of 3 problems. First, check that their device is updated and that they are signed into iCloud with their managed ID. Next, have them make sure that they are on Albert Wi-Fi and not a different network like Legacy device or Outdoor Classroom. And then finally, make sure that their Bluetooth is turned on. Sometimes students turn it off when they are trying to connect their headphones back to their phone and they forget to turn it back on. Once they turn it back on, it should connect. If issues persist after checking all of the above, please submit an Albert Tech ticket, and that will get pushed through K-12 and then onto the I-team if it's something that we need to do. You can use agendas to keep your class on track. So you can create an agenda on the main screen of Classroom. So when you first open the Classroom app and you don't have a Classroom open, on the left-hand side you would have Classroom or Agendas. You can click on Agendas, and then from there you can either open an existing agenda or you can hit the plus sign to create a new agenda. So my screen is showing what it looks like when you want to add an agenda. So you can see that it's just my agenda at the top. I can adjust that and I can change it to my lesson, maybe solving systems of equations by graphing. And then you can add tasks or actions, and you can rename those. And so where it's untitled is highlighted, I can change that to IXL diagnostic time or whatever it is. And then you can set a timer for that, and you can have an action for when that timer, what happens when that timer goes off. And so where it says do nothing on the right-hand side, that's where I can go through those options. And then if you check auto advance, it'll automatically move on to the next action. So underneath on the right-hand side where the timer is, that's for the first action. Underneath that is add action. If I click add action, that's where I can either have it open a new app for the students. So maybe the first 10 minutes was me lecturing and reviewing. And after those 10 minutes timer goes off, I want to open the IXL app for them to start practicing. I can add that action for them to open that app for them automatically after that 10 minutes is up. You can also automatically lock their iPads after 10 minutes and do maybe a check-in or, navigate them to a website after that 10 minutes. I want them to watch this video, and then after 10 minutes, I want them to open Pages and write a summary. After you create an agenda, the icon in the top right corner with the people in it, that is the Open in Class button. So once my agenda is created, I can then open that for whatever class I want. So I've created a Solving Systems of Equations lesson. Maybe I want to push that then to my Algebra 1 Hour 1. And so I can open it in that class. When you open the Apple Classroom app and you're monitoring their iPads, what a useful tool that the Classroom app does is the class summary reports. Now, it's super important to note that this is not saved anywhere, and you have to end the class, not just close out of the Classroom app. In order to end the class, you click the three dots in the top right corner in that toolbar, and you click End Class. Do not just close out of the app. You will lose all of the summary information. When you click on End Class, the class summary automatically appears, and you can see what apps were used. You can click on a student's name and see what apps they use specifically, when and for how long. And it's all broken down. This summary does not save anywhere. If you want a record of it, you have to take a screenshot. When you have a class open in Classroom, you can airdrop to the entire class at one time, even if the Classroom app is running in the background. So maybe I've opened it and now I have Keynote running and I don't even see my Classroom app. As long as it's running in the background, then when I click on airdrop, now it becomes an option to just send something to the entire class. So you can see on my screen here, I had my Algebra 2 class open. And so when I went to airdrop a Keynote, I could send it to all of their devices instead of having to tap all of their names at once. If you've made groups in that app, so maybe you made groups for Table 1, Table 2, Table 3, then those groups will also appear as options. So you can airdrop something just to that small group, not just the entire class, without having to select their names individually. Thank you for attending this pop-up PD and learning how to use Classroom as a tool for classroom flow. If you need any additional support, please don't hesitate to reach out to an iTeam member. We would all be happy to assist you. Here are a couple useful links as well to assist with using Classroom. There's a link to the Classroom User Guide and to the Apple Education Center. The Apple Education Center is a great resource even for just finding lessons or how to use the Classroom app within your classroom.